Good morning, students. I am here in front of you with the next video of the lesson, the Evans Rising level. As in the last video, we have discussed about how the examination had begun at 9:25 instead of 9:15, and how the correction slip reached over there, what the correction is, and the next one is the governor listened and smiled. He had taken German in the sixth form himself, and he remembered all about the agreements of adjectives. So did McClary by the sound of things, and the minister's pronunciation was most impressive. What about Evans? So probably didn't know adjective was? The phone rang again. The magistrate's court. They needed a prison van and a couple of prison officers in a remand case. And within 2 minutes, the governor was wondering whether that could be a hoax. He told himself not to be so silly. His imagination was beginning to run riot. Means he's just thinking about Evans, that whether there is any chance of escape of Evans in this mode. Evans. For the first quarter of an hour, Stephens had dutifully peered through the peephole at the intervals of one time or so. Means Stephen, who is standing outside of the cell, is looking regularly after a minute into the cell what was going on and how he appeared for the exam. But whenever he looked behind into the cell, each and every time he was sitting in the same position, concentrating over the paper. It seems like concentrating over the paper. As in the classes, the student who is weaker in some section is just looking over the roof or on the walls, and seems as like they're just focusing on the content. But ultimately he didn't know anything, as like Evans appears right now. So round about at 10:50 a.m., the receiver crackled to life, and the governor realized he had almost forgotten Evans for a few minutes. What he saw? That Evans asked McClary, please sir, would you mind if I put a blanket round me? Means he feels chilly, so that's why he wants a blanket on his shoulder. It's a bit parky in there, isn't it? Silence. There's one on my bunk. Sir. There is one which I can use right now. Be quick about it. At 10:51 a.m., Stephens was more than a little surprised to see a grey regulation blanket wrapped around Evans' shoulders. As he frowned slightly and looked at the examining more closely, but Evans, the pen still between his teeth. As I have told earlier, that what the students used to do in the examination hall, if he or she cannot concentrate or don't know anything about it, they just pretend to concentrate over the matter by putting that pen into their mouth. But should Stephens report to the slight irregularity? Anything at all fishy? Hadn't Jackson said. He looked through the peephole once again, and even as he did so, Evans pulled the dirty blanket more closely to himself. Was he planning a sudden Batman leap to suffocate McClary in the blanket? Don't be daft. There was never any sun on this side. Means there is no any type of chance to escape from this prison cell in this tight security. So don't worry. And it could get quite chilly in some of the cells. Stephen decided to revert to his earlier every minute observation. Now the time reached at 11:20 a.m. The receiver once more crackled across the silence, the governor's office. And on the other side, McClary informed that Evans that only 5 minutes remained to over the examination. And the examination was almost over, but something still gnawed away quietly the governor's mind, he reached for the phone. At 11:22, Jackson shouted along the corridor to Stephens. The governor wanted to speak with him. Hurry, man. What he said? He said Stephens to escort McClary or accompany McClary to the prison main gate by himself in his own presence. He assigned duty to Stephens to keep Evans safe in his cell. McClary had left the cell. Understood. At 11:25, the governor heard the final exchanges. Means the exam was over almost. And McClary said, "Stop writing. Put your sheets in order, as like the instructor gave you instructions in the examination hall. That arrange your sheets in order. Check your roll number according to this one, whatever so. Thank you very much, sir. Right, was it? Not too bad. Good, Mr. Stephens." The governor heard the door clang for the last time. The examination was over. Now, as per the instruction of governor, Stephen escorted McClary to the main gates. And his court's ascent seemed broader than ever. Here, governor seemed to be quite brainful because of the concern about the Evans' escape related to this one. Stephen felt pleased that governor had asked him and not Jackson to see McClary off the jail premises. And all in all, morning had gone pretty well. Till that time, everything is as they had planned. Nothing happened suspicious. He wanted to take just one last look. As he reached, Stephens reached back across the Evans cell. He just want to take a last look at Evans cell, that what the chap is doing. About a woman who could never really convince herself that she looked the front door when she had gone to the bed. Often she got up 12, 15 times, 20 times to check the bolts. He re-entered the D-wing, made his way along to the Evans cell, opened the door once more and cried, "Oh no, Christ, no!" There spelled, back in Evans' chair, was the man. For a semi-second, Stephens thought it was Evans. A grey regulation blanket slipping from his shoulder, the front off. Means how the chap is sitting. The blanket was dropping down and he was hit by something at his head and the blood was dropping down. Stephen shouted wildly as he saw this for Jackson, and the words appeared to penetrate the curtain of blood that veiled McClary's eyes. For the minister's hand felt feebly for a handkerchief from his pocket and held it to his bleeding head, the blood seeping slowly through the white linen. He gave a long, low moan and tried to speak, but his voice trailed away, and by the time Jackson had arrived and dispatched Stephens to ring the police and the ambulance, the handkerchief was sticky, squelchy bodge of cloth. McClary slowly raised himself. McClary was sitting in the cell. Then who was the person that was escorted by Stephens to the main gates? This question rises, but first of all they call for the police and ambulance. He closed his eyes and another drip of blood splashed like a huge red raindrop on the wooden floor His hand felt along the table, found the German question paper, and grasped it tightly in his blood-stained hand. Get the governor. I know. Fear the Ivans. These were the words of the man who was in the cell, bounded in a wounded condition. Means he wanted to inform the governor that where was the Ivans. These lines show that McCleary was in the cell in a bounded state. Then who was the man which was escorted by Stephens at the main gates of jail? This is the question. Later part of the story we will discuss in next part.